Hallie, and welcome to my maximalist to extreme minimalist story. This is my minimalism journey and what inspired me to become more minimalist. I do have a family now. I have 2 kids and 2 dogs. When this all started, I did not have any of that. I also have a husband, and he is a contributor in this journey. I grew up in a traditional middle-class American household. I do have 2 hoarder parents. It is organized hoarding, so it's definitely a lot of stuff, but it was always put away for guests, looked nice, but we had a lot of things. When I was a kid too, I would move furniture around my room pretty frequently, and looking back, I think this was a way to control my environment and a way for me to manage my space as best I could, because I wasn't really allowed to get rid of the things in my space. I also had an obsession with shopping, often for like fast fashion. Society and my family, everybody really believed in as far as what they thought was best and how you live your life and the things you buy. And I've since changed my ideas of what I think are best for myself. We also moved a lot growing up, so we always had moving vans, and we would pack everything up and move everything about every 2 years or so. And when that would happen, we would have movers because they would be paid for by my dad's work. So that was very fortunate, but it did not allow us to understand the gravity of how much stuff we had. Or at least I didn't realize it until I got older in high school. So about my senior year, we had to move to Florida, where I had to start thinking about going to college, and I had to bring things with me. And my parents were moving again as I was going to college, so I was going to have to take all of my stuff with me. I had to take full responsibility for all of my things. Not only did I have to take my things, I had to take the things my parents had been collecting for me my entire life. When I started to see how much I had and how small my dorm room was, which was pretty much a single wardrobe, the under the bed storage with the lifted bed as high up as you could get it, I realized I was in a bit of a situation and would need to find another storage option or get rid of some things. So that's, I'd say, where the journey really started as far as the decluttering goes. And I started getting rid of a lot of my things. I tend to have, or I do have OCD, and that obsessive compulsive situation really got ramped up. There's even something called obsessive compulsive spartanism, and I definitely had this, and this got ramped up when I started to declutter. And I would just get, I think, dopamine hits from dropping off donations and getting rid of things and seeing things leave. So I got really addicted to getting rid of stuff, which helped in the journey, but was also a lot, and I think kind of showed me that there is an unhealthy side to this if you don't put the right thought behind your actions. When I was in college, I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, my now husband, and I realized he was actually a minimalist completely already, because he just didn't have anything. Which I think a lot of guys do live like this, where they just have like one chair, their bed, and like their clothes in a dresser, and that's it. And he's still like that to this day, so I am thankful for that, because it keeps our house minimal. Once we'd been living in Florida for a little while, we had accumulated some donated furniture and such that we kept some of and got rid of some as we left to go move to New York City. And when we did this, we rented a U-Haul, packed all of our other belongings in the U-Haul, pretty much filled it, and moved everything up there. And when we got to our studio in Brooklyn, we filled it with all our stuff and realized how much stuff we had. We had moved from a 2-bedroom apartment to a studio in New York, and it was appalling. We had to just stack things on things on things, and we realized that it was not gonna work, so we're gonna have to pare it all down again. In New York, there's a bunch of stuff just left on the streets, nice stuff, furniture. It's just because a lot of people don't have cars. You just would take things off the street and leave things on the street. It had its own ecosystem, and you find great things. There's like beautiful old Victorian furniture. Sometimes you have to fix things up a little bit, There's like, I found a Versace coat once there, so it was pretty wild. But overall, there's just a different economy there as far as furniture goes. So I felt at peace knowing that if I put it out there in the world, someone else would find it at the right moment. This allowed a lot of freedom and a lot of serendipity, which I really liked. And I think this is what inspired us to go live on the road for a while, was just if you trusted things in the world, they would work out for you. We decided to leave and go live as, I guess, digital nomads on the road. And this was an interesting experience because we had to get rid of everything that did not fit in our Honda Civic. And we had 2 dogs. So there was not a lot of space, but we did cram it full with everything we could imagine. So that's when our microwave went out the window, not literally, but our TV also gone. The only thing we kept that we didn't take with us was a bed. And that was like, we had purchased a Tempur-Pedic bed when my husband sold beds, and we shipped that to his parents' house in Florida for the time being. And we figured we'd catch up with that one later. But we did. Definitely a time where we learned about having to just let go of things. And we would go through things together, our sentimental items, and talk through why we wanted to keep it, what we needed to keep, old photos, genealogy stuff, and things that we thought we really wanted, and then when we were faced with it or talked through it with the other person, we realized was probably not necessary. We were living life on the road for about a year, a little over a year, and we did not have anything anywhere else except for the bed, and I had 2 boxes of books in my parents' storage unit in Texas. Funny enough, I don't think I have any of those books now today. After this point, we realized that we were gonna get married and we were gonna have a baby, so we stopped the on-the-road life and decided to settle in I think it was 3-bedroom house in Florida for the time being. We knew this would be a temporary measure, but regardless, it was unfurnished, so we had to furnish it, often with donations from friends or things we found at thrift stores or estate sales, which we're big fans of. We always say the fishbowl concept. Whatever size your fishbowl is, you'll grow into it and adjust to that. So we had a bigger fishbowl and we adjusted by accumulating things. And I think being pregnant, I always tend to have like a nesting mentality, I think. So we would take in a lot of things. Nothing was going out during pregnancy and early motherhood. About a year after our moving into Florida and our son was 6 months old, we moved to Portland. And to get across the country from Florida to the Pacific Northwest, we had this Honda Civic, we had 2 dogs, a baby, and a car seat in the car. Everything we owned in the car, I mean, what didn't fit didn't come. So everything got donated. At this point, we had gotten the boxes back from my mom. We had gotten our bed, which we did ship again to Portland. We spent more money shipping that bed around the country than we did on the bed. Thought if we could only have one thing, it'd be that thing, and we don't even have it anymore. We found an apartment, but our things had not arrived yet. Living with no furniture, sleeping on the floor with the baby and the dogs, and honestly, I loved it. We were super extreme minimalist, and I probably would remain living like that if it was up to me, but my husband does like furniture. Couch, the whole 9 yards. Again, we grew back into our fishbowl. And we stayed pretty minimal though. It was a 2-bedroom downtown apartment, so there wasn't a lot of space to expand into, and there was very little storage. About a year after that, we found out we were pregnant again, and we moved to the suburbs, where our house was 2,500 square feet. It was 3 bedrooms. It was huge. I was very overwhelmed by having to care for it, but for the first time, we didn't really expand into it. I think we knew we weren't going to be staying there for more than a year. The house was from the 1980s and had a lot of fun characteristics. There was a tree inside the house, and we just let a lot of those features be kind of the prominent part of the house without trying to decorate it too much, which definitely was confusing to people because we had a lot of people over at that house, and people just always thought we had just moved in, which in a way we had, but we had people that were just confused, and then when we would hold events, we would have to either go buy chairs or borrow chairs or tell people to bring your own chair. And so it was an interesting lesson on hosting as a minimalist, which I think we've refined in the process now. We had another baby, and we didn't buy all the baby stuff this time. We did not accumulate anything. If anything, we got rid of a lot of baby stuff because we knew what we were going to use, what we weren't going to use. The Portland area, it's got a huge secondhand market, especially for furniture. So all of the furniture that we had purchased and thrifted and gotten at estate sales, we were able to actually make a profit. We had 2 months before we left and we were living extremely minimal. No furniture, no anything. Pretty much my husband had a desk and a chair for that desk, and we would stand to eat or sit to eat on the floor, and we had a coffee table that I would use as a sitting desk. And I, once again, loved that. Sleeping on the floor, I love. And I find it funny, but my husband will definitely never live like that by choice. So then we thought we were moving to Florida. And we obviously gonna make another cross-country move, said it's much easier if we just get rid of everything. And we got rid of the bed this time. So we got rid of all of it, anything that couldn't fit in our car. We no longer have the Civic, we now have a Tesla SUV. We had a little bit more room, especially with the dogs, but we also had another baby. So there was very little room for all of our belongings to fit. We shipped about 10 medium-sized boxes down to my husband's sister and a few other things. We left our house with everything we had at the time and went to stay with my parents to figure out our next move, and we were met with this great opportunity to buy this house. We seized the day, and because we didn't have a ton of stuff and we didn't have everything we were moving with, it was easy for us to act on our feet. We've been living without those things in the storage in Florida, and I can honestly say I don't know what is in most of those. Our house is about 2,000 square feet now, which I feel like is huge. It's 3 bedrooms. Well, I've made it 4. We had no furniture when we moved in, so we acquired some things that came with the house, and then we actually decided to invest in few but quality pieces that we wanted. The house came partially furnished, and that was also an issue because we didn't want some of it, but we also needed furniture. We'd sold everything we had. So we live in a place that's really hard to get rid of things, or there's no selling market for the most part. There's a giving market. It's really given me a new perspective as far as reusing things we have. The biggest lessons I've learned now from being a mom and being into minimalism is that you need to manage your inventory closely. At seasonal times, I like to do things, tear down our things, and think consciously about what we're bringing into our space. Definitely do regular check-ins with the kids' items as far as toys go and how much we accumulate with that. But our wardrobes, we check seasonally. We all do capsule wardrobes, and it really keeps things manageable and also shows you what you actually are missing and need for your wardrobe. Some people call us extreme minimalists. Actually, quite a few people do. I don't feel that way. I feel like it's just kind of a balanced minimalism. I'd like to declutter a little bit more right now, but right now I'd say we're well-practiced minimalists. So everything in our house either serves a function or a purpose, or is just beautiful for us and something we care a lot about. Though I could live with no furniture on the floor out of a backpack, I know it's not practical for our family, especially at this time. We own a home with so much storage, and we're trying hard to keep things manageable and not fill it. And I think the empty space of that gives a lot of clarity when we don't fill it, and it can kind of have us be reflective on what we really need and want. Minimalism to us right now is a continued journey. I don't think it ever really ends. It's constantly being tested by society and social standards. It's a very interesting thing, especially because we definitely notice that it ebbs and flows, and we're either in a state of expansion or contraction as far as our lives and our things go. And right now I think we just got off of an expansion track, and we're starting to get down to a little bit less stuff than we came in here with and reacted because we bought a house. Thank you for listening to my maximalist to extreme minimalist story, and I will keep you posted on our family minimalism journey in the future.